Hello everybody and welcome to Module 1. So we are now getting into our main part of this class. So Module 1 is talking about the purpose and value of higher education. Let's see if this slide will move. Okay, so there is an extra credit option that you have access to at this point in the class. I'm not going to tell you exactly where to find it because that's kind of part of the assignment, but these are some submissions that I have gotten for this extra credit assignment. So if this piques your interest, maybe you'll look around in the modules and see if you can find that extra credit option. All right, the first half of this module, we are going to cover some differences between high school and college. We are also going to talk about the STAMP assignment, which is one of the biggest assignments that we have in this course. It's divided up into a few different parts, but it's, quite a few points between all of those different parts. So it's definitely important that you know what the STAMP assignment is, excuse me, and that you understand all of the different parts of it. And then finally, I will just do a quick check-in with you to make sure that you are understanding how to use Eagle. Since this is an online course, I'm assuming that most of you are doing fine with that, but I just want to make sure that you understand how to use our services. All right, our warm-up question that is posted in the announcements for this week. What is one thing that you accomplished in the past week? And then what is something to work on going forward? So for me, I accomplished doing some budget things in my job. So that's something that's a little bit new to me, but I'm learning how to work with business services and accounting and all these other different departments to manage a budget. Something to work on going forward. For me, I do need to work on some housework. And I don't like doing housework. It's not enjoyable to me. So that is something that if I am procrastinating and putting things off, that is definitely an area that I tend to procrastinate in. All right, so our first activity is reading a handout of comparisons between high school and college. So the directions for this are for you to read this on your own and either highlight on the document or take some notes about points that stand out to you. And then you're going to share these points on our lecture assignment. So I'll get out of the PowerPoint here and just show you real quick the document that I'm talking about. So in our Module 1 lecture, it says differences between high school and college. There's a document here. When you click on that, it's going to open up this guy. So it's this nice little table that says general differences between high school and college requirements. So these might not be exactly the same as your high school or exactly the same as what you've experienced at Rock Valley College, but overall these are some pretty good and I would say reliable differences that you would see between the two different types of schooling. So it talks about everything from like class time and study time, what you are responsible for, what teachers are responsible for, what homework looks like, what grading and tests and things like that look like, and support services, self-advocacy. So a big theme that you will see here is that in high school, there may have been adults checking in with you more often or advocating for you. And in college, you have a lot more independence and freedom, which can be good. But also, if you're not used to that, it can be an adjustment where you have to figure out how to advocate for yourself and how to plan your own time and things like that. So take a few minutes to look through this and take those notes. I'm going to get back into the PowerPoint. All right, so now we're going to talk about the STAMP assignment. So if we were in an in-person class, I would normally hand out physical packets to you, but since we are online, that obviously doesn't make sense. But the packet is available to you in our modules, so you have access to all of these parts that I'm going to be talking about. So the STAMP assignment is broken down into 4 different parts, and each part will be turned in on Eagle. Each part is 4 points. So part 1 and it's labeled Stamp Part 1, right, in Eagle. So you'll see that for your assignments. So Stamp Part 1 is pretty simple. All you have to do is make an appointment to see an advisor in the academic advising office. Now for our class, we do have an assigned advisor, so you'll need to look to see who that is. I will post that so you know. But you do need to call usually the advising office. You can also make an appointment online, but you will need to make an appointment with the advisor. And then for Stamp Part 1, you just simply turn in what your time and date is and who your advisor is, and that counts as getting you points for Stamp Part 1. Stamp Part 2. This is prepping for your meeting. So you haven't had your meeting with your advisor yet, but for Stamp Part 2, you're going to write out some questions that you would like to ask your advisor when you get into that meeting. There is a document to help you with this, to help you come up with questions. If you click into Stamp Part 2 in your assignments, you will see this as well. So you just enter in for Stamp Part 2 the questions that you come up with. You turn that in Eagle. And then you're also going to take those questions with you when you have your actual appointment. Stamp Part 3 is when you meet with your advisor on the date that you scheduled your appointment. When you go to your meeting with your advisor, you do need to take a few things. You need to take those questions that you wrote for Stamp Part 2, and then you also need to take the paper for Stamp Part 3. Because what the advisor is going to do is they are going to map out your classes with you for the rest of your time at RVC. And there's a form that they're going to do that on. So you need to make sure you have that form available. If you're meeting with them online in a Zoom meeting, they will probably ask you to send that form before your meeting so they can be prepared. And if you're meeting in person, then you will take a paper copy of that form. So for Part 3, you sit down with an advisor. They talk to you about what you want to major in, maybe where you want to transfer, things like that. And then they will map out every semester from this point going forward and what classes you will take each semester. And then for Stamp Part 4, this is after you meet with your advisor. You're going to go into your self-service account, and in student planning, underneath that, you're going to enter in all of those classes that you and the advisor picked out together for your future semesters. So you add those courses into your student planning. It doesn't actually register you for anything, but it kind of keeps it as a document for your plan, right? So you can log in and see, oh, in 2 semesters in the future, I was planning on taking these classes. So then when you go to register in the future, you already have those classes picked out and a plan set for you. You will also turn in this Part 4. There's directions on the assignment for Stamp Part 4 that go into more detail about how to do that, but you basically just take a screenshot of your student planning and you turn that in for your Stamp Part 4 so that I can see that you have entered in those classes into your plan.